I think when it comes to who inspired me, I do think that it was my mom and my aunt, my grandma. They're just strong, powerful females who have made a huge impact on, raising other strong, powerful females in the world. And I think that was a huge inspiration. But honestly, there's just not a lot of people who are pros who were able to maybe give these girls here in the Midwest a platform. And so that's I had no one really to look up to when it came to professional basketball or professional sports here in the Midwest. And so I always just knew that I wanted to be that somebody. And so once I put my mind to something, I kind of do it. And so that's really where my inspiration was.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Hey guys, welcome into Sports and Shenanigans, where women's sports and pop culture collide. We are brought to you by Cherry Co, and of course, we are on KCSN. Thanks for hanging with us today. I'm your host, Jillian Latrinko, and look who I'm with. I'm so stoked to have Sophie Cunningham with us, of course, WNBA Star, now back in the Midwest, and we'll get to that in a second. But Sophie, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a huge pleasure. I just think you're phenomenal. I think this podcast is going to be awesome. I'm scared to be a first guest, so whatever. But no, I'm happy to be back in the Midwest and just happy to be here for the win stuff.
Yeah. I really appreciate you saying that, first of all. But so, again, WNBA Star, but there's so much more to you. And so we kind of want to dig through some of those layers. But take us back. Yes, we know you as a star for the Phoenix Mercury, but before that, MU, and before that, Columbia, Missouri. When did you pick up a ball? Was anyone there inspiring you? How did that come to be?
You know what? We have such a great family. When I say we, always talk about me and my sister because we were just best friends, still are, but we did everything together. And so she's older than me. We just grew up playing every sport possible. And so it was basketball, golf, soccer, gymnastics, swimming, volleyball, track and field, softball, everything you can think of. We did it. And so from a young age. And so basketball is definitely thrown in there. I think just when I was little, I think I was playing with the ball before I could even walk and do anything. And so our whole family played sports at Mizzou. My grandpa, aunts, uncles, mom, dad, sister played together there. And so sports just runs in our blood. But I think when it comes to who inspired me, I do think that it was my mom and my aunt, my grandma. They're just strong, powerful females who have made a huge impact on, raising other strong, powerful females in the world. And I think that was a huge inspiration. But honestly, there's just not a lot of people who are pros who were able to maybe give these girls here in the Midwest a platform. And so that's I had no one really to look up to when it came to professional basketball or professional sports here in the Midwest. And so I always just knew that I wanted to be that somebody. And so once I put my mind to something, I kind of do it. And so that's really where my inspiration was.
Amazing. Yeah. And I love to hear the generational message being sent.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you know it was going to be basketball that took you to the professional level?
Great question, because everyone's always like, oh, she must have known forever. But honestly, it was up to my junior year in high school that I was maybe going to go volleyball.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like the multiple sports type things. I didn't want to get burned out, so I tried to play as many sports as possible for as long as I could. But I was actually going to dual sport in college. And then once I actually really thought about it, I was like, I would have no life. I would have no time. And then my basketball coaches they were like, no, there's no way. And so
I think that there's something very valuable to not specializing too early.
Yes.
So obviously that leaned in your favor. Okay, well, I was going to ask, was it going to be a tough decision to stay in Columbia and become a Tiger? But it sounds like that was a family legacy.
No, yeah, it was a family legacy. The black and gold run deep in our family. I actually committed out of the 8th grade. And so the funny thing is my first offer was actually from Kansas. Ugh, gag. I was literally in 7th grade and they offered me a full ride. And I walked out of that room and I was like, that was nice, but I will absolutely not. And we all started laughing because I'm like, oh, why would they even waste their time? Because I even humor that. It's like, oh, what are you going to say? And I was like, that's never going to happen.
Love it. Well, okay, you knew you were going to be a Tiger, and from the jump, no pun intended there, you were a massive impact player. So freshman of the year, I think 3-time All-SEC, SEC All-Freshman team, McDonald's All-American.
Mm-hmm.
What sticks out in your mind from your days in the black and gold, and just what impacted you as a person and as a player from your time there?
Man, again, great question, because when I think about it, it's not the wins, it's not the losses, it's really the relationship and the village that we created, because you can't do it alone. It's not 1-on-5. You have to have great teammates. You have to have a great coaching staff, a great university that pours into women's sports like the University of Missouri does. But honestly, there are people coming out of the woodworks from all over. I mean, our whole family's from there. And I think in high school, we were maybe averaging more fans and the girls were at the collegiate level. Wow. And by the time I was done there, we were packing that thing out. We were averaging like 8,000 to 10,000 a game. And so when I think about the impact I had, it was empowering and inspiring the next generations of not only girls, but little boys too, who wanted to maybe not just be a professional athlete, but like do something awesome with their life, be the best doctor, be a singer, be like, just inspire them. From someone from the Midwest to see someone doing kind of cooler things. I just wanted to be that person. And so I think about that quite a bit. It's just like the impact our village and our team had the 4 years I was there.
That's incredible. And what a takeaway.
Yeah.
You know, what an amazing thing for you as well.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're in it, I'm still playing, obviously, but like sometimes you don't get to like step back and kind of realize everything that not only you did, but the people in your family and the relationships you built have done for maybe a community or a state like Missouri. And so I think once I'm done, it's going to be pretty emotional and fun, but I still feel like I have so much left in my tank. And I think coming back to the Midwest, I'll be doing more stuff in the community.
Yeah, so which we love to hear for sure. And that kind of brings us to that next step, getting into the WNBA. So 8th player from Mizzou to be drafted and the highest selected Tiger to go WNBA, and it took you to Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah.
So 6 years with the Phoenix Mercury. I'm not going to ask you your biggest impact, because 6 years anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible tenure.
Yeah.
But just talk to us about the experience of being drafted, and then you're starting this professional career, something you worked so hard for your whole life. What was that like?
Honestly, it was kind of funny. And I say it's funny because I have friends on the men's side who've been drafted. And when I got drafted, they're like, oh, what was like your signing bonus? And I'm like, signing bonus? I was like, we got a hat and a t-shirt that said WNBA draft. I'm like, oh, we got 10 million. I was like, well, welcome to the women's side of sports. Yeah. So that was funny. But honestly, just being able to actually go to New York and be a part of that whole process and a part of that show. My whole family was there. Like, it was an awesome feeling, because at that point, it wasn't about me. Like, I was representing my family. I was representing the University of Missouri, the Midwest. Like, it was just cool. Like, I don't know why I'm the one that got to do it, but I just like I was representing a lot of people who have the same values and work ethic as myself. And so I will say, everyone thinks it's always rainbows and butterflies at the professional level, but that high school to college jump is hard. That college to the pro world is even harder. It's even tougher. And so there's a lot of ups and downs the first couple of years. And then, some injuries happen. I was Diana Taurasi's sub for like 2 or 3 years. And she's like the go. And I was like, oh, great. And I was like, all right, can you retire so I can get some PT? But I learned so much. But to be honest, I just think it's a great career change for me because of the system I'm going to be in. Okay. Like, I don't even think I've even hit even close to my potential yet. So I just think there's so much left in my tank, and that's what excites me the most.
Well, it's incredible. And we can't talk about, again, 6 years in one place. You did so much. You set a record 17 consecutive games with at least 2 3-pointers. What? And not to mention, in your last year alone, 40 appearances, 21 starts, 8.4 points average, 37.8% on the 3-pointer. And you did this with a pretty debilitating injury.
Yeah.
So,
that was rough.
Talk about your collarbone, because you really didn't talk about it too much in the midst of it.
I didn't. I wanted to kind of keep it hidden. It was my shooting shoulder, and that there's players on your team. Like, I had 4 Olympians on my team, and so like my role was not to be necessarily a scorer. It was knocking down wide open threes, but also kind of be like the pit bull, like rough people up. And I took on that role well, but I also had a hurt wing, and it was awful. So I actually got landed on my right shoulder, and it actually killed my collarbone. So I had to get a big old piece of chunk out at the end of the season, and I feel so good now. Yeah. So, but man, it was not fun. That was maybe one of my worst up there injuries.
Well, I just think what you were able to do in that year with that injury speaks volumes to your character, your work ethic, your selflessness. But as you mentioned, you are embarking on a new adventure, which is so exciting. Indiana Fever, back in the Midwest. Yeah. And I just have to bring this up because I saw a little clip of you on WNBA. You know where I'm going. WNBA All-Star game.
Oh, this is a good clip, okay? So I was like, where is she going with this?
Now, another Indiana Fever player, soon to be teammate, Caitlin Clark. Have you heard of her? You happened to have a little interaction with her, and it was said that you were potentially asking her to come to Phoenix.
I totally was.
And maybe the joke was on us because maybe she was asking you to come to the Fever.
No, maybe I just put an atmosphere and it happened. But how funny is that? Like I never really even saw myself leaving Phoenix. It was my new home away from home. I have a great off-court situation. I've built a lot of fun relationships out there. And yeah, I was like, hey, like, what do we need? No, come on, how do you get out here? But it's funny now that, I told the people upstairs, I was like, I will be her Sabrina Carpenter any day to her Taylor Swift. Like, I am so excited for this. And I just think, honestly, she's just a great human too. She has a lot of pressure and a lot of eyes on her shoulders, and she handles it so gracefully, and she's just a great human. So I'm just excited to be a part of something like that. And she passes the ball, which I enjoy.
I just think the way that you approach that, and I've heard you multiple times compliment that 2024 rookie class.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how you feel the game has evolved. We saw a lot of eyes on the W in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We saw even more eyes on the W last year. This momentum, yes, that rookie class is a part of it.
Yeah.
Not the only piece of it. But just about the evolution, because you've been a part of it from.
Yeah. It's a fun time to be a part of the W, honestly. Like, I think that rookie class that everyone's talking about is, and I understand both sides of it, and I've said this in other interviews too, where it's like, there's been trailblazers that they didn't get paid what they got paid, or they didn't have the attention, but the talent has always been there. And so I think that is kind of where the miseducation with a lot of new fans kind of happened, that like, oh, she's the GOAT already. And it's like, actually, she'll probably be that one day, but right now, maybe not. But the attention she's bringing is exactly what everyone should want. Like, you were a trailblazer for this to happen. So it was a matter of time of who. And so I'm for it. I think that class, not only her, but you have Cameron Brink, you have Angel Reese, really those three, they just have a lot of eyes and a lot of followers. And to me, it's kind of like, duh, because when you put women's sports on TV, people watch.
Thank you.
And so that is like my biggest thing. And it's not, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think it's pretty simple. And I think that our world is starting to see that if you do that, people are interested.
Now, what do you think it's going to have to take to just continue that momentum? We did see some things in the offseason spark some more attention.
Yes.
What do you think from a player's perspective?
So I'm a part of our Players Association for the WNBA, and we opted out of our CBA, which is a really, really good thing. And so I'm not allowed to really speak on what we're doing. But there are such good things that are pushing the needle. Like, it's insane. Like, I can't wait for it all to come out. But there's a lot of money in our league right now. And where is it? Like, as players, like, people want to see it. And so we're going to get what we deserve one way or another. And so I think that is us pushing it. And then after that, we'll opt out again and do something different. And so it takes a village. It takes people to support, people like you who want to put women's sports out on your podcast. So it takes a village. It takes everybody.
And I think it's just that consistency. Like you said, like, when the product is seen.
Yes.
It's when people have invested in women's sports, it's never been about investment. We've seen it across different leagues.
Yeah.
I love that you lean into that.
And you know what's funny about that too is, like, you have men, you have boys, you have people who have never even gone to a basketball game before. And once they come to a WNBA game, they are obsessed, like obsessed. And it's like, you just got to get them in the stands, or you just got to put it on TV. And then I don't know why, but people fall in love with it. And so
it's an amazing product.
It is. I know why. I wasn't going to say that, but you said it.
And then again, like, we saw something this offseason spark amazing attention, unrivaled.
Yes.
So this 5-on-5 league, 8 weeks. Talk to us about that. Is that something, obviously you were injured.
Yeah.
And so an offseason for you was very different. Yeah. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah.
You see benefits?
Yeah, 1,000%. I think that just the more eyes and the more that people get to learn and care about the people who are playing in the leagues, then they're followers, and then they want to know what we're all doing. And so I did get asked to be a part of it.
Okay.
I respectfully declined it just because I also do broadcasting for the Sun.
Right.
And so the money situation, I'm making more doing broadcasting than that right now.
And that is the piece right there, I think, Sophie, of women's sports.
Yeah.
Is you are balancing and this salary versus that salary. And I think that is very relevant to bring up.
Yep.
And we didn't even chat about analyst role, which I think is incredible.
Yeah.
But continue. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
there.
you're good. You're good. Because I just think, it's all about opportunity, right? And I think not just only myself, but a lot of us women are actually getting our foot in the door with broadcasting. Like, I know we are girls and our game's a little bit different than the men, but we're still high IQ. We know the game. I think it's good to put those people in those positions. But Unrivaled has been amazing. I think I will be a part of it maybe in the next couple of years. So I mean, I am excited about that. But I don't know. I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. I need to get healed up a little bit, but those girls are holding it down and they're doing a great job. So
just all the excitement that's created. How are you? Did you have the surgery? How are you doing?
I'm actually really good. Yeah. Like, I've been working out. I've been getting my butt kicked on. You can tell with these bags. I keep saying it, but gosh, I'm like dead. But it's been a really great off season so far. Yeah. So I guess now we'll be training up in Indiana. So.
I know, which everybody here is excited about that. And then talk to us a little bit about, in regard to growing that fan base, what would you like to see as far as like content surrounding the W?
You know what? This is maybe like totally out of left field, but I just think that there is space for everybody. And so I think that is okay to highlight these type of athletes, but also highlight these type of athletes. Like, at the end of the day, kids and parents and families want to see representation for their young ones to inspire them. And I just think the more that we can all be our authentic selves and celebrate that and try not to change people, then that's when we're all going to really thrive. And so along with that, I think women, we're the first ones to kind of tear each other down to try to, get to the top. But at the end of the day, we got to build each other up and we got to empower each other. And if you're being successful, you need to bring 5 other girls with you to kind of help carry that throughout the country. And you see that it's powerful when women are all together. We do really good things. And so I just like to see that keep just a positive of women helping women and also celebrating who people are.
Yeah, that culture. Yeah, that community. Yes. I'm huge on that as well. I have to give you your props. You're also an analyst and a host on broadcast. It takes a lot to be able to know the game.
Yep.
It takes a lot to be able to speak it on air. And you do it very well.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch. Has that impacted how you play the game?
Honestly, yes. Like, I've learned so much. I mean, when you're getting to see, and I get it. Like, I'm not though. I think men, they're phenomenal athletes. Like, they are just like, they're the most elite athletic people. We're athletes, but we're more IQ and fundamentals. And I think our game, yes. So they don't have a brain, we do. And so that's really what it boils down to. But just like seeing them and the way they move and their schemes, like I take that and you see that you have a lot of people coming to the WNBA from the NBA side, and now our game is starting to adjust that. But so me being able to see that the past couple of years, quick learner, and like I'm like, hey, like we need to be doing that and not this. And so I don't know, I'm appreciative. I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in, but it also takes guys who are willing to allow me to be in those positions and help me because I was thrown to the fire. I did not go to J school. I had good interviews in college and they're like, hey, you can talk. Why don't you try this? I was like, okay. But I didn't know it was like going to be on NBA. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, this is not good.
But you know the game.
Yes, I do.
Bring that.
Yes. And they've been great mentors. And so it takes strong men to empower females too.
Yeah, I agree with that. But again, I love that you allow it to impact your game.
Yeah.
In regard to that, obviously we see the men, they're fast. Yep. They don't think. Women, same thing in soccer, methodical.
Yes.
Is the 3-point shot in the W going to be equivalent of the dunk in the NBA? In regard to fan excitement, engagement?
I think the depth of it, yes. I think we have a lot of great shooters in our league, and you see that we don't really have any there's some, but there's not a lot of traditional post players anymore. Like, everyone can shoot. And if you can't shoot, it's weird that you can't shoot. And so I think you see, Diana Taurasi, she was able to shoot that ball from far out. Now you have Caitlin Clark shooting logo threes. And I just think, that's Steph Curry type stuff. And if the females can show that, then I don't know if it's going to be as exciting as a dunk, but we're also not dumb. Like, we know that. But man, if you hit a big three at a big time, kind of equivalent. So
I'm letting my husband know, like, that's a logo 3.
Yeah, you can't go do that. That's a 3. Yeah, this is like, and that's another thing. A lot of people are sitting on the couch like, oh, like, I'm like, we would cook all of y'all. So like oh my gosh, I didn't even get started on that. But it's great.
I love it. Well, the future of the game is so bright and you are leading the charge. Congratulations on this incredible new opportunity in Indiana. The Midwest lovers are happy that you're home. And this is Sophie Cunningham. We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much.
You're the best. Good luck with your podcast. This is so fun.
I love it. Appreciate it.
Yes,
guys, thank you so much for watching. Catch us next week.